Gavaskar ready then? Gavaskar?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Very good morning, all the participants. Greetings from St. Xavier's Catholic College of Engineering, Nagarkoil. I welcome all the participants on the fourth day of the faculty development program on cloud computing. On the first day, we discuss about how we can install the virtual machine, that is a virtual box using VirtualBox. In the second day, we discuss about how we can install a Google application engine and how we can launch a web application in that. And the third day, we discuss about the cloud SIM and how we can run a scheduling algorithm using cloud SIM. That was discussed on the third day. Today, we are planning to discuss about how we can install a C compiler in virtual machine and also how we can execute programs in that. Also, what is the procedure to transfer a file from one virtual machine to another virtual machine? So today's our guest speaker is Gavaskar. You already know him, so I am not giving introduction today because he already handled the first session of this faculty development program. So here again, I am not introducing him to you. I hope that you all are enjoying this faculty development program and we are satisfying your objective also. So I am expecting your feedback in the feedback session. With this introduction, now I request S. Gavaskar to start his demonstration. Welcome, Gavaskar.
Thank you, Dr. Antakumar, sir. So good morning, faculties. Today we are going to see about how to install a C compiler in a virtual machine. And one more exercise we are going to see is how to transfer the file between the virtual machine. That is, we are going to transfer the file from between the Windows virtual machine and from Windows virtual machine to the Linux virtual machine. We are going to do that. Okay. So these are the today's agenda for the workshop is I guess planned like this. Last session I got one question: normal versus headless mode. What is the difference between normal versus headless mode? Question I got one question regarding this. So I am going to address that today. Then how to create a clone using VirtualBox we are going to see. That is nothing but some more options are there. More options are present in VirtualBox. That options we are going to see first. It will not take more time. Then we are going to see how to create a snapshot. How we can create a snapshot and how we can restore the snapshot. We are going to see. Then we are going to see how to create an appliance. So appliance is nothing but is similar to package. You can install some softwares which are needed, and again what you can do is you can convert that to a open virtual format, OVF format, and you can import this in any virtualization software. That is the usage of appliance. So we are going to see how to create an appliance and how to import the appliance which we have created. And one more thing, we are going to see how to export the VDI file. VDI is the virtual device image. It's an image format of VirtualBox, and how we can import this virtual device VDI file into a virtual machine. We are going to see. I hope this is three. What are for cloning, creating snapshot, exporting and importing appliance, exporting VDI file. This will answer one of the question which is asked in the chat window in the last session. How we can do migration. So this is a process of doing migration. We can do migration by 4 ways in VirtualBox that I am going to explain. But live migration is not possible. Okay, I told that in the previous session itself. I told that live migration is not possible in VirtualBox. But in case of cloud service providers, if you consider Alibaba Cloud or Amazon, live image migration is also possible. But here it is not possible. Now we are going to see. Next we are going to see how to share the file in the Windows virtual machine. First we are going to see how we can share file in Windows virtual machine, and then we are going to see how to share file in Linux virtual machine, and finally we are going to see how to install a C compiler, and how to run a simple C program in a virtual machine. That's our agenda. And now I am going to head with the demo. So first I am going to show the difference between normal mode and headless mode options which is present in VirtualBox. So first we can see so what is the normal mode in virtual machine will be started in a new window. So now if you are using the normal mode, the virtual machine will be started in a new window and loading and booting option will be shown for you. Okay, I will show the demo again. So now in the headless mode, new window will not be opened, but it will be running in the same window itself. By using this option, it will be not showing booting and loading window, but VM will be started. Okay, now we can see the difference between two by a short demo. Okay, now you see, listen carefully. The first I am going to demonstrate using a usage of start, right click start, normal start. Normal start, you see the normal start, it will start in a new window. You see, new window is opening. In the new window is opening, and in that new window, the virtual machine will be started. The virtual machine will be started in a new window. You see, booting option will be there, and you can see the window starting here, options, everything we can see here. So this is regarding normal start. Okay, now you see, I can log in with the Windows. Okay, I'm going to shut down the virtual machine, and again I am going to start with the headless mode, headless start. Right click, same thing. Right click, new, headless start. Can you see? It's not, new window is not opening. New window is not opening. You see, the window is started here. You see in the left side. You see the window is running here. Now we can start. Now we can show. So if you click show, it will be open in a new window. You see, window is starting. That's the difference. Okay. So difference between start normal and headless is nothing but if you are clicking start now, it will start in a new window. Whereas if you are clicking headless mode, what it will do is it will start in the same window. It will be started. Okay. When you click show, it will be open to the new window. That is the difference between headless mode and start normal mode. Okay. So I hope I answered for this question. Okay, now. Now we are going to see how to create a clone. Now you have to know what is a clone. So creating a replica, one Windows image will be there, or Windows virtual machine will be there. I am going to create a replica of the same replica I am going to create. Again, you see, I am not going to create a virtual machine here. I am not going to provide the configuration, RAM size, the storage capacity, anything. I am not going to provide anything. Just I am going to click an option, clone, and what it will do is, the VirtualBox will do is, it will create a replica of the particular virtual machine which you are going to clone. Okay, now I am going to show the demo for that. How to create a clone. Okay, so clone, what is cloning is creating a replica of a virtual machine installed. Okay, I'm going to create a replica, the same replica of a virtual machine which is installed already prior, and you see, listen, one important thing is, you are not going to provide the configuration. The configuration will be the same configuration of the virtual machine which is already installed will be created. Okay, so how to create this? Just you right click the virtual machine and you have to select clone. Okay, now we can see the demo. These are the different options present in VirtualBox. First, you have to start the VirtualBox. Now, see what I am going to do is I am going to create a clone for XSCC_Windows_1. This is a virtual machine which is created in the previous session. So in the first session, I created one virtual machine, XSCC underscore Windows underscore 1. Now what I am going to do is, for transferring the file between two virtual machines, I need one more OS. I need one more guest OS, or I need one more virtual machine. So how I am going to create is, I am going to create by using clone. Okay, I did not want to create by using normal procedure. It will take more than half an hour. So to reduce the time, what I am going to do is, I am going to create the virtual machine by using a clone. You see, here you did not want to provide the configuration. The configuration will be inherited from the already existing virtual machine. That is the important concept you have to remember here. Now see, right click, you have to click clone. Now you have to give the clone name. So I am giving as XSCC Windows underscore 2. So now again you click next. You click next. So full clone I am giving. Now it will take more than half an hour for cloning. It's not half an hour, more than 15 minutes. Okay. Cloning. So the advantage of using cloning is, you did not want to specify the configuration. Okay, if you want to create a replica of the previous virtual machine installed, you did not want to provide the configuration again and again. Without giving the configuration, you can create a replica machine, virtual machine you can create. So I'll skip some more steps. So it will take more time. I am going to skip the steps. Okay, now you see 99%, 100%. Now see, one clone machine is created. Okay, now clone is created. The same configuration and the same features will be inherited from the XSCC underscore Windows underscore 1. Okay, this is a feature, one of the feature present in VirtualBox. I have created a clone. Now you see, I am going to run the clone. Now I am going to run the clone virtual machine. It's very simple. Just right click clone. Just you have to click the option clone. That's all. Now I am going to run the clone machine. Okay, clone virtual machine. It is a virtual machine created from the XSCC underscore Windows underscore 1. Okay, now again normal start. I am giving normal start. So it will be started in a new window. Now see, Windows is starting. So now see, the same XSCC Windows 1 is coming here. The same features of the virtual machine which we created previously will be coming here. Okay, now I am power of the system. Okay, this is one of the good feature which is present in VirtualBox. Okay, so I hope all of you understand this feature. Now we are moving to another feature, that is again creating snapshots. So first you have to know what is a snapshot. Okay, so this is nothing but, you can create, it is similar to a checkpoint, creating a checkpoint in database. You may hear about creating checkpoint. Okay, we are creating, certain times we are going to create a backup. Certain times we are going to create a backup. You can create a backup for 8 o'clock, then you can create at 9 o'clock. If some mistake happens, or if your system is corrupted during 9 o'clock, after 9 o'clock, what you can do is, you can restore to the backup which is present in the 8 o'clock. Okay, that is one of the good feature which is present in VirtualBox. Now we can see that feature. So now this is the snapshot. We can create snapshot at regular interval, and we can restore to the previously created snapshot at any time. So we can create, I explained already, we can create snapshot at any interval, regular interval, 8 o'clock, 1 hour, 2 hour, we can set that. And what we can do is, if any problems occur, we can restore to the previous snapshot. That is the thing. Okay. Now we can see how to create snapshots. So now, I already explained this. What is snapshots? You have to right click the existing virtual machine, and you got to start the virtual machine. So you have to start the virtual machine. First, you have to provide the username password. So now you see, first I am going to create one file, one test file I am going to create. Okay. So to demonstrate this snapshot, what I am going to do is, I am going to create one file here. At this time, I am going to create a file. One file I am going to create first. Now what I am going to do is, I am going to create a snapshot. Okay. After that, again I am going to create another file. Again I am going to create a snapshot, and then again I am going to create another file, and I am going to create a snapshot. And finally, what I am going to do is, I am going to restore to the first file which I have created. That part I am going to restore. Okay. So I will explain. You see the demo clearly, then you will understand. So you see, I'm going to create a file, and in that file I'm going to type some content. Computer science and engineering. I'm going to type some content, and I'm going to save that. I'm going to save that. Yes. Okay. Now you see, I'm going to create a snapshot. Okay. For creating snapshot, what you have to do is, you have to go to machine. You have to go to machine in the left side. No, in the menu will be there. Machine menu will be there. Below that, one sub menu will be there. Take snapshots. One menu will be there. Okay. So once again, I will repeat. In the menu, main menu, you can find machine. In that, one sub menu will be there. That is take snapshot. One menu will be there. You have to click that. Now you see, it will ask snapshot name. Okay. You can provide the name for the snapshot. Either you can give your user-defined name. Any name you can provide here, but the name, how to provide is, you have to provide the current date and the time. Then it is easy for you to restore that with the snapshot. Okay, it is easy for restore. If you are giving, you can identify the snapshot easily. So that is a notation you have to use. So I have used the same notation, XSCC underscore CSC underscore. Now the dates, I will provide the date here, 18/6 underscore. That time I am going to 8:45, 41. Okay, 41. At 8:41, I am getting a snapshot. CSC description. If you want, you can give the description also. Snapshot. Click OK. Okay. Now see. Now again. Now snapshot is created. Within a minute, snapshot is created. And now you see, I am going to delete this file. Okay. Now I am going to delete CSC. Okay. Listen carefully. I am going to delete CSC. So now I am going to create another file. Mechanical. Mech. Okay. Mech. I am going to create another file as mechanical engineering. Some content I am going to type. So now I am going to save that file. I am going to save this file. Now see, same way I am going to create another snapshot. Another snapshot I am going to create. The time is what? Another time, 8:42. It will be 8:42. 18:8, 18:6, underscore 842. Okay, so 842, I am creating another snapshot and I am going to save this. In this time, what I have done is I have deleted the CSV file and I have created a mechanical file. Okay, now see again, snapshot is created within a few minutes. Within a few minutes, snapshot will be created, and you see, I am going to create one more file. I am going to create now again one more file. I am going to create. The file name is EC. File name is EC, Electronics and Communication Engineering. I am going to type some content. Okay, so now see, I am going to save this. I am going to save this. Now again, I am going to create another snapshot. Totally, I have created how many snapshots? 3 snapshots I have created. So now I am going to create another snapshot. EC underscore mech. Both files are there in this snapshot. Now both files will be there. Mechanical and EC file will be there. 8:43 p.m. Okay, 8:43 a.m. Okay, now totally 3 snapshots are created. Okay, totally 3 snapshots are created. Now you see, I'm going to shut down. Okay, now you see, I am going to restore. Okay, I am going to restore to, first I am going to restore to CSV snapshot. Okay, so we can see that. Shutting down. Okay, now you see, all set of snapshot will be displayed for you. Okay, you see, it will be displayed in a tree view manner. First one, second one, third one, like that. Okay, now you see, I am going for to snapshot the first version. That is what? CSV version. I am going to do that. Right click, just you right click. Okay, now you have to right click. Right click. Yeah, right click. Right click, restore. Restore. You see, now you have to click the option restore. It will ask for restore. Okay, okay. Now you can give the name. Here again, here also you can give the name. I am going with the default. Okay, now you see, this particular snapshot will be restored. Okay, now you see, I am going to run this. Normal start I am giving. Normal start I am giving. It's restoring. Now you see, listen. Already first we before creating the first snapshot, we have created a file named as CSV. File named as CSV. This will be present here. Okay. So this is a advantage of using snapshot. Okay. Now I am going to open this file. You see, computer science and engineering will be there. Okay. Now I am going to shut down. Now I am going to see the second snapshot which we created. Now see, mechanical department. Mechanical. I'm going to restore. I think mechanical department. Okay, I'm going to restore with mechanical department so that CSV file will not be there. The particular CSV file will not be there in the desktop. Only mechanical file will be there in the desktop. Okay. So see, only mechanical file will be there in the desktop in the virtual machine. The reason is we are getting we are restoring from the version to snapshot. Okay, in that version only 3 mechanical department file is present. So again I am shutting down. Now I am going to restore to the normal. Normally last we created 2 files. Mechanical file will be there and EC file will be there. I am going to restore to that snapshot. The current state. That's what EC and mechanical. Okay, now you can give restore. Restore. So now see, the both files will be there. Okay, mechanical and EC files will be there. Okay, this is one of the advantage of using VirtualBox. Okay, we can snapshot at any time. So this option is present in Windows also, but no, normally no, we have not set this. We can set the frequency, daily backup or we have to backup weekly. These options we can set in Windows, so that if any system is corrupted, if you are any files are corrupted for you or sensitive data is corrupted for you, what you can do is you can restore to the previous data. Okay, if currently today your system is corrupted, you think that your files are corrupted, so what you can do is you can restore to the previous backup. That's the option. Okay, same option is present in VirtualBox also. So I hope all of you understand this. So now we are moving to how to create appliance. How to create appliance by using VirtualBox. First we can see what is appliance. It can be considered as a package in which we can install necessary application, and this appliance can be just imported without creating virtual machine. Okay, so you think that you have to create a lab. Okay, with NetBeans should be there. NetBeans and another Apache Tomcat server should be installed. So okay, you think that you have created one package. Okay, you think that you have to install in 50 machines. So what you have to do normally? Normally you have to install in separately. You have to install in different system. So here what you can do is, if you create one appliance or a package, so what we can do is we can import this in the VirtualBox, and we can work with this package with all the systems which is present. This is a usage of appliance. Normally, your system administrator, what they will do is they will use this. They will do this by using Ghost. They will use Ghost. One application is there. Using that, what they will do is they will install the OS to all the machines. Okay, so it's a similar process. Okay, so now first what you have to do is click the option export appliance for creating appliance, and click the option import appliance for importing the appliance. Okay, now we can see the demo. So one more thing you have to know here regarding the appliance, the file will be created in OVA format, Open Virtual Image format, OVA format. So what is the advantage of OVA format is, what you can do is you can import this to any virtualization software. That is, you can import this to VirtualBox, you can import this to VMware, using any virtualization or hypervisor software. What you can do is you can import this OVA file. Okay, that is the advantage. Now we can see how to create appliance. Very simple. Just one button click is needed. So one option is there, import export appliance. Export appliance option is there. There what you have to do is you have to provide the file name. Okay, file name, and you have to provide the location. you have to provide the file name and you have to provide the location. Then again, you have to click next. So it will automatically, the versions, product name, everything will be provided. You did not want to provide this. Now you have to click next. Okay, so that it will take nearly more than half an hour, 40 to 45 minutes it will take for creating a OVA file format. Okay, for creating appliance. So now, listen. You see, this is the OVA format. Okay, open virtual image format. Now, what is the advantage of this OVA format is, what you can do is, using this OVA format, you can import this in any virtualization software. You can import this in VirtualBox or you can import this in VMware. Okay, so this is the format which is created. Now I am going to import this appliance. Okay, I am going to import this appliance in VirtualBox. Import appliance. You got to click import appliance. Import appliance, and you got to choose this OVA file. This file you got to choose. Now click open. Now next. Now you see, it will display all the configuration which you have made for the particular virtual machine. Actually, you are going to create OVA file for one virtual machine which is already present. So the configuration will be present here. Okay, if you want, you can change the configuration also here. I am not going to change. I am going with the default configuration. Now it is importing the appliance. Okay, now you see some error came here. The reason I will tell. The reason is nothing but, in my physical OS there is no space. Okay, so see here. So I cannot create another machine. Only 2 machines I can create. So there is no additional space in my C drive. This VDI file, everything is saving in C drive. So there is no space. So now you see, I have deleted this. I am going to delete xcc_windows_2. Now it will be restored. I will show that. Okay. I'll show this in another video. Okay, another video is there. In that I will show how to import this appliance. Okay. Now in this video, what we have seen is how to create a OVA application. How we can create an appliance or OVA file we are going to create. So now we can see how to import this OVA file in another video. So I will show that video for you. Now listen. All of you listen here. Listen. You see, previously when I try to import, some error happens. Yes, some error happens. The reason is there is no space in my C drive. That's a problem. Okay, I told that capacity planning is very, very important here. If you have in your C drive only 100 GB space is there, if you are allotting 30 GB to 3 virtual machines, you can install only 2 virtual machines. Third virtual machine we cannot install. It's not possible. Space is not there. Third virtual machine is possible. Fourth virtual machine is not possible. Okay. So capacity planning is very, very important. Now you see, same thing. What I have done is another one virtual machine, xcc_windows_2, which is created. I have deleted that virtual machine. Now I am going to import that. Okay, now I am going to import the appliance. You see what is going to happen. Okay, how to import this? You go to file import appliance. Okay, previously for exporting the appliance we give export appliance. Now to import the appliance you have to give file, you have to go to file import appliance. Okay, so now you have to choose the OVA file. Okay, where you stored, you have to choose that location. Okay, now I stored in E drive, xscc underscore windows underscore OVA. Okay, you have to choose that. Now you have to click that and you have to click open. Again next. So now again it is asking the configuration. The default configuration will be present, which is of the previous virtual machine for which you have created an appliance. So when you are creating virtual machine, be careful in the capacity planning, or you will create some error. It will be created some error for you. Now I am going to skip the steps. Now you see one more virtual machine is created and with Windows OS. Okay, now you see start normal. Now the machine will be started. Okay, virtual machine will be started. I have created by using OVA file, open virtual format file. So now I hope all of you understand this. So this is very simple. First what I am going to do is I am going to export an appliance, and I am going to create a OVA file. Then I am going to import an appliance, and I am going to import that file, and I am going to create a new virtual machine. Okay, without providing any configuration, I am going to create a virtual machine by using appliance. Okay, so now we can move to next topic. Now you see in VirtualBox, no, whatever thing you are creating, it will be stored in VDI format, virtual disk image format. Okay. Now what we are going to do is we are going to create a new virtual machine from that VDI format file. Okay. Actually, this VDI file will be stored in. You have to know that where it is stored. I will show the location where it is stored. Uses your VDI file will be stored in this location, particular location. Okay. C uses, not uses. See. So I'll show that in the demo. Okay, I'll show that in the demo. Okay. Right. So now what we are going to do is we are going to create a new virtual machine from already existing virtual disk image format. It is the image format of VirtualBox. So we can see that. New virtual machine. So you have to give the virtual machine name. Okay, I am giving the new name. underscore 1. So now this is a place where this present. Okay, I'll show that. C uses Gavaskar VirtualBox VMs. In this, okay, now you can choose that. Okay, you see, you can choose. Okay, in that location it is present, and this file you can choose. Okay, here how you see. Here how many virtual machines are there? Already 2 virtual machines are there. Okay, so that image will be present there. You see, when you are choosing the file, you see two images are there. 2 VDI images will be there. DOC underscore OS. This is a DOS OS file, and XSCC underscore Windows underscore 1 dot VDI, another file. 2 files will be there. Okay, VDI files will be there. From this, I am going to create another virtual machine. Okay. Now create. So now new virtual machine is created from the VDI file. Now start normally. So now machine is loaded. Okay. So this is that's what about creating a virtual machine from VDA format. Okay, VDA file which is created. For every virtual machine, VDA format will be created. Okay, one file will be created. Okay. So now, so I will start. We can see we have a short recap. So now first. Okay, now first we have seen the demo for normal versus headless mode. Then we have seen how to how to create a clone in using VirtualBox. Okay, that's nothing but how to create a replica of already existing virtual machine using VirtualBox. Then we have learned how to create a snapshot. In particular demo, I have created 3 snapshots I have created. Okay, one is CSC, another one is mechanical, and another one is with the name Mech and EC. Okay, and what I have done is I have restored all the three snapshots. Okay, and then I have created an appliance. I have exported an appliance, and the appliance will be stored in OVA format. And then what I have done is finally I have imported an appliance. Okay, then I have created a new virtual machine by using the VDI format. Okay, VDI file, that is virtual disk image file. This is a file format of VirtualBox. Okay, using that I have created a machine. All this now I created a machine without creating the configuration, without providing the configuration. I have created the machine from the existing virtual machine image files. Okay, so now we are moving to how to share the files in Windows virtual machine. Okay, this is our exercise. I think it is a 7th or 8th exercise. I don't know that clearly. I don't know the name. I don't know the number, exercise number. Now we are going to see how to share the file in Windows virtual machine, and to share the file in Linux virtual machine. We are going to see. You can see that. So now these are the steps. Step 1 is start all the virtual machines. Okay, how many virtual machine is present? You got to start all the virtual machine. Now another important thing is for sharing the file, you got to set the password for the administrator login. Okay, or you can create another user you can create, but there should be password. Set administrator password for all the OS installed in the virtual machines. Okay, so now first case we are going to see how to share the files between the Windows machine, Windows virtual machine. Okay. So what you have to do is first you have to start all the virtual machine. Then you have to set the password for the administrator user. Okay. Then what you have to do is you have to find the IP address of all the virtual machine. We are going to share the file by using IP address only. So what you have to do is you have to find the IP address of all the machines. You got to note that. Okay. Then you have to create file in all the operating system. So all the guest operating system, what you have to do is you have to create some file. Okay. And you have, one more thing you have to do is one file you have to create and you have to share that file by using the properties. In properties, you have to share that file. Then only we can access that file in any other guest OS, another virtual machines. So you have to share one file. You have to create one file in desktop or anywhere, and you have to share that file there. Then what you have to do is from the host machine or from some other virtual machines, you have to ping the IP address. Okay, you have to ping with the IP address. Whether you have to check whether the particular network is correct or not, properly configured or not. For that, what you have to do is you have to use ping command and you have to check the connection. Okay. Then what you have to do is you have to access the file by typing // internet address in search option by typing the administrator password. Okay. Now we can see the demo. These are the steps. So what are the steps you have to remember is first you have to start all the virtual machine. Then you have to set the administrator password. Then you have to find the IP address. Then you have to ping the IP address, and finally you have to find the file. You have to get the file by using the IP address. Okay, now we can see this. Same steps I have mentioned here. So please listen carefully this exercise. The reason is here two virtual machines are there. Okay, so I am going to start first time. What I am going to do is I am going to start virtual machine. So please note the virtual machine name also clearly. Okay, we'll see in the video. Please check the. So now first I am starting the virtual machine 1. Okay, XSCC Windows _1. Please see the names clearly. So first I am starting virtual machine 1. That is XSCC Windows _1. I am going to start. Okay, now it's ready. So here I have set the password already. Okay, administrator password I have set it already. Okay, now you have to minimize this. So now you have to minimize this. Now you have to start virtual machine 2. That is XSCC Windows _2. So now two virtual machines are loaded. Okay, two virtual machines are loaded. Now we have to move to the second step. So again, please note the virtual machine name. Okay, this is virtual machine 2 XSCC _ the top. You see the top. Now you can find the name running Oracle VM VirtualBox. That name we note. So this is virtual machine 2. Okay, XSCC _Windows 2. Okay, now you see. So I am going to start VMware workstation also. Okay, in VMware workstation also one Linux OS is there. I am going to start that also. But for this particular exercise, I am going to share the files between the Windows virtual machine. So now Linux Ubuntu 15.10 is loaded. Okay, now you got to provide the username password here. So now totally 3 OS is loaded. Guest OS 3 is loaded. Okay. 3 guest OS is loaded. So now you have to minimize this again. Now we go to first OS. Okay, xscc underscore Windows underscore 1. xscc underscore Windows underscore 1. Now you go to control panel. Now I told no. Now all of you listen. We have to create a user. Okay, or you can create a new user, or what you can do is you can set the administrator password. Okay, two things you can do. You can create one new user, okay, admin user, or what you can do is already when you are creating Windows OS, administrator will be created automatically. Administrator user account will be created automatically. What you can do is you have to set the password for that, but password will not be there for that first. Okay, you have to set the password. Okay, now so what I am doing in my case, I have created password already. So what I am going to do is I can change only the password. Okay, I cannot create the password. So what you have to do is you have to create the password. I'll explain. Please listen the video clearly. Okay, now you see xscc underscore Windows 1. Now you see in my case it is coming change password. Okay, it's coming change password. Reason is I have created the password. So for your case, if you are not created password, it will come for setting the password. New password you have to provide. Okay, so that change you have to do here. So I have done the password. So I'm not going to do anything. So I'm going to click cancel. So now it's the first OS. Now same process you have to repeat for the second guest OS. Same process you have to repeat for the second guest OS. That is Windows xscc underscore Windows underscore 2. Also the same process you have to repeat. You have to create a password for the administrator account. In my case, I have created already. So I am going to skip that. Okay. Okay, now second step is over. So third step. So now you have to minimize this. You have to minimize the second guest OS. Now again you open the first guest OS. You find the IP address. Okay, you find the IP address. You note the IP address. IP config. You see 192.168.192.168.43.35. The first IP address of the first guest OS is 192.168.43.35. Please note this. Okay, you have to note this. Now second, you are moving to second guest OS, that is xscc underscore Windows underscore 2. The same process you are going to repeat. You are going to find the IP address. Okay, you are going to find the IP address. So you can find the IP address here, IP version 4 address. Please take IP version 4 address. Okay, 192.168.43.251. So I have taken the password. Please remember the password. Now we have to move to the next step. Next step is creating a file. You are going to create a file. Okay. First I am going to create a folder. Okay, I am going to create a folder xscc underscore. Now I am giving as xscc underscore 1. Okay, this is the first guest OS. xscc underscore Windows underscore 1 is the first guest OS. I am going to create xscc underscore 1. So inside that I am going to create another file. No, not. I got deleted. Okay, I am not going to create another file. I am going to create test file. I am going to create only test file. CSE. Okay. Now here I am going to type some contents. In first guest OS, what you have to do is you have to create a file. Any file name you can provide here. So for easy to remember, I have provided xscc underscore 1. In that I have created one file. Okay. So now you move to another guest OS, that is guest OS xcc underscore windows underscore 2. Guest OS xcc underscore windows underscore 2. Again, same process you have to repeat. You have to create another file. Here I am naming it as xcc underscore 2. The file name xcc underscore 2. So again, here also, so by default, by mistake I has created a folder. You can create a folder also, no problem. You have to create a test file. Electronics and communications. Some content you have to type. Now you have to save. Click save. Now again close this. Now you have to check the connection. Okay, but actually now what we have to do is we have to share this folder. Okay, I will share that in the last. Okay, so actually we have to share this by using the property, but we are going to do that later. Now I am going to check whether the connection is correct or not. Okay, connection is established or not. Going to check. Okay, you see here ping. This is what first IP, first xcc underscore windows underscore 1. This is the first guest OS. Okay, so now this first guest OS IP is what? 192.168.43.35. Okay, now guest OS 2, that is xcc underscore windows underscore 2 IP address is what I told already, 192.168.43.251. Okay, I am ping 192.168.43.251. From where I am pinging this is I am pinging from the guest OS 1. Okay, now its reply is, you see, connection is established. Okay, reply, you see, like we are getting the reply from the another. Okay, so the connection is established. Okay, now we go same process you have to repeat in the guest OS 2. Ping. Now here you have to provide the IP address of the virtual machine or guest OS 1, 43.251. Okay. Yeah, 35. Let's not, sorry, 35 is the IP address of guest OS 1. Okay, now we have checked the connection. So now what we have to do is I have to share the file. Okay, share the file. You have to share the file. Okay, share the file. Okay, so actually this step you had to do previously, but I am right click. Listen carefully, all of you. You have to right click. You have to right click that particular folder which you have created. Right click xcc underscore 1 properties, sharing. You can find one tab will be there, sharing, share. You click share, then you click everyone. You choose the option everyone. And you click add. And now what you have to do is one more thing you have to do is read write option you have to provide, so that what the particular user can do, he can read the file as well as write the file. Okay, now the same process you have to repeat for guest OS 2. Same process you have to repeat for guest OS 2. Go to computer, open the file, go to sharing, choose everyone, again read write option, click close. Okay, now so now what you have to do is you have to type /192 from the guest OS 1. You see the file is shared, the file is coming here. Okay, it's from this file is from which guest OS? Guest OS 2. So I created xcc underscore 2, the file name, and I have shared that file in guest OS 2 with IP address 192.168.43.251. This is IP address of the which machine? The guest OS 2, that is xcc underscore windows underscore 2. Okay, that's the file. Now you see what I am going to do is I am going to create one more file here. I am going to create one more file. Okay, some other file I am going to create my file. and putting as my file, name as my file. I'm going to type some content. Okay, now I am typing some content. Okay, now see what I am going to do is I am going to guest OS 2 and I am going to check whether this file is present there or not. Okay, I am going to check. Okay, you see, it's my file. Our college is St. Xavier's Catholic College of Engineering. You see, this is guest OS 2 in that file. Now what I am going to do is from the guest OS 2, I am going to get the file present in guest OS 1. The IP address of guest OS 1 is 192.168.43.35 and guest OS 2 is 43.251. Okay, now see, file is present. Now again I am going to type one more file here. One more file. I am going to create one file and I am going to check whether this file is present in the particular guest OS 1 or not. I am going to check. So EEE, just I am going to create one file. Same. So now what I am going to do is I am going to guest OS 1, that is XSCC underscore Windows underscore 1, and I am going to folder. Okay, you see my computer C XSCC. You see the file which I created is present in the guest OS 1. Okay, so that's all about sharing the file between virtual machines of installed with Windows OS. Okay. So now we can proceed with another video, how to share the file from Windows OS to the guest OS. So guest OS is what? Linux. So now we are going to see how to share the file from Windows OS to the guest OS, and the guest OS is what? The Linux machine, Linux virtual machine. Now we can see that. So another video is present. I'll share that video for you. So I hope that for everyone this notepad is displayed. Okay, now see, for sharing the file in the file from Windows to the Linux OS, what you have to do is you have to create another user account. Administrator user account is not supported. Okay, when I am trying, it is not working, but it has to work, but it's not working. Okay, so what I have done is I have created one more user account. One more user account I have created in Windows. Okay, so the account name is staff. Okay, and I have provided a password for that. Then you have to log into the Linux by providing username password, and to connect to the Windows and getting the file, what you have to do is you have to use the command smb://IP, and you have to provide the IP address of the Windows machine. Okay, so I will repeat the steps again. First, what you have to do is you have to create one user. One user you have to create in Windows machine. Apart from the administrator user is default, by default administrator user is present. Apart from that, what you have to do is you have to create more user account. Okay, and you have to use this command smb:// and you have to provide the IP address of the Windows machine, so that the file which you shared in the Windows machine will be displayed in the Linux machine. Okay, now we can see that. Same process I explained already. First, you have to create a user account in Windows, then log in with the Linux by providing username and password, then connect to Windows. Okay, by using the command smb. So now see, first step is what I am going to create an account in user in Windows. So the account name is staff. Okay. So now go to control panel, add, remove user. You have to create one account, a staff. I'm creating a staff and create account. Now you have to provide the password. You see, you have to click create password. Okay, you have to provide the password for this particular account. Now create password. Now you have to close this. Okay. Now what you have to do is you have to go to Linux machine. Okay, and Linux is installed in VMware workstation. Okay, you have to go there. Now you have to click browse connect to server, and you got to type this is a old file. Okay, now you got to log in. Okay, now you have to log in with the Linux. Okay, okay, now open the file, connect to server, smb. You got to type the command smb colon slash slash 192.168.43.30. So first machine ID. So now you have to provide the username. Staff domain work group. No, it's work group. Now see xscc underscore one. That both files are present here. Both files are present here. I hope all of you understand this. So in this particular video, what I have done is I have shared one file in Windows, and I have accessed that file from the Linux. Okay, the command you have to remember is smb colon slash slash the particular IP address. So I hope all of you understand this. So now we are moving to another exercise. Next exercise, that is installing a C compiler. Okay, installing a C compiler and running a simple C program. So first you have to open the virtual box. Normal start. So you have to share the file. Okay, you have to share the file. You have to give the name. Okay, now you have to click OK. Now you have to browse that file from the guest OS. Now this file is present here. So now listen, all of listen here. Now what you have to do is first you have to download the compiler. Okay, Turbo C compiler you have to download from the net. That I didn't explain. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to download the Turbo C compiler and you have to place that in the host OS. Okay, and that file, the host OS file, now you have to share in the guest OS. Okay, and now you have to open that compiler file. Okay, Turbo C compiler. Now you have to paste this. Anywhere you can paste this, no problem. Just you have to paste this file. I hope that everyone know how to install C compiler. Okay, very simple. Just you have to download and you have to install. That's all. Okay. If you have Turbo C compiler, you can install. Borland C compiler is there. You can install, no problem. Just we have to run a C program. Now you have to run Turbo C. Turbo C you have to run. So now here what I am going to do is I am going to type the program as includes to the simple program. Okay, welcome to, I am going to print welcome to cloud computing. Okay, in the main, and open brace, close brace, print of welcome to cloud computing, the get ch return. Okay, now you see I am going to run the program. Welcome to cloud computing laboratory. Now you have to compile the program. First you have to compile the program. If there is no error, then you have to run the program. Okay, now the output is displayed. So very simple. Okay, so just what you have to do is you have to download the Turbo C compiler. That is the main step here. Okay, you have to download the Turbo C compiler and you have to save that in the host OS, physical OS, and you have to share that file. You have to share that file in the guest OS. Okay, share that file in the guest OS. Or one more thing you have to do here. What you can do is you can browse in the net. No, in the guest from the guest OS, you can download the Turbo C compiler. Any compiler you can download from the guest OS also by using Internet Explorer. You can browse in the net and you can download the Turbo C compiler and you can install the Turbo C compiler in the guest OS and you can run a simple C program. Okay. So once again, finally we can see the overall recap. That's all of the day. So I hope that everyone understand this. So for installing C compiler, very simple. You have to download the compiler, Turbo C compiler or Borland compiler. You have to download and you have to install. Just you double click and you have to install that, and you have to run a simple C program. Okay. Now we can see a final recap. So these are the things. These are the concepts we have seen today. That is normal versus headless mode, then cloning using VirtualBox, then creating a snapshot, exporting and importing appliances, exporting VDI file, then sharing file in Windows VM and sharing the file in the Linux VM, and finally we learned how to install a C compiler and how to run a simple C program in a installed compiler. Okay, that's all of the day. Thank you for your patient listening. Any more doubts? You can have the chat window.
The participants can clarify your doubts. You can type your queries in the chat window that will be addressed by Engineer Gavaskar.
Yeah, one question is there. You show the file sharing using VMware. In same is possible in VirtualBox. Okay, it is possible. Okay, I showed the demonstration for Windows file sharing. I have shown in the VirtualBox, and I have shown the Linux to Windows file sharing in VMware. Okay, both we can do. Vice versa, it is possible. Okay, same process, same steps you have to do. That's all. Okay. So yeah, one more thing. While doing cloning, do we need to check capacity constraint of the host? Okay, it's very important. No, without capacity planning, if you are doing it will create some problem. Okay, that's nothing but you have to see. You see in this program, you see sharing the files at the same time. I am loading 3 guest OS. I am loading 3 guest OS. I am loading and 1 physical machine. Totally 4 machines are running. 4 machines are running. You see the RAM capacity. If your RAM capacity may be 2 GB, you think that your RAM capacity is 2 GB. You may allotted 1 GB for the first guest OS and 1 GB for the 0.5 GB for the second guest OS, and third guest OS you may add in 0.5 GB. Now you see physical OS there is no RAM capacity for the physical RAM for the physical OS. So what will happen? Your physical OS will hang, will not run. Yes. So that only most of the things, most of the scenarios, they will tell that minimum 6 GB should be there in your system. Minimum 6 GB should be RAM should be there in your particular system for running a virtualized application, any application. You see, if you want to install one virtual machine, Windows 7 or Windows 8 OS, minimum you have to apply, you have to give 1 GB RAM for that. Say you cannot, if you are installing Windows SP, no problem, you can give a 0.5 GB. But if you are installing Windows 7 or Windows 8 or Windows 10, minimum 1 GB RAM should be there for that. So that minimum 6 GB RAM is there for your host OS system, then it's not a problem for you. Okay. So I hope that I answered for the question. But then one more question: why we are going for cloning? Is there advantage than doing the normal installation of OS? Okay, cloning is nothing but if you want to create a same replica. Okay, I can create the same replica how? By creating a new virtual machine. I have to set the same configuration. I have to set if it is if I normally if you are not using what cloning. If you are going to create a machine of the same replica of the previous existing virtual machine, what you have to do? You have to create a virtual machine. Then you have to set the configuration. What is the RAM size you have to set? You have to set the storage. Then you have to set the hardware. Everything you have to set. You have to set the networking. Everything you have to do that manually. You have to do that. But by using cloning, what you can do? By a single click, you can create the same replica machine. You can create. Okay, networking. Everything will be ingested from the previous machine, previous virtual machine. That is the advantage of using cloning. Okay. Now, one more question: whether VM migration is possible? Yes, possible. For that only I explained cloning. Cloning is one of the way of migration. Okay, but it is not live migration. If you have to know the difference between the live migration and another normal traditional migration. Okay, here in the VirtualBox you cannot use live migration. Is nothing but when your machine is running state, you cannot migrate from one VM to another VM. But in case of cloud service providers similar to Alibaba Cloud, AWS, we can do live image migration is possible. But in our case, we cannot demonstrate that. It's not possible to demonstrate for us, since in VirtualBox, live migration is not supported. That you got to know here. That is a constraint present in our VirtualBox. Okay. So some question, how to demonstrate how to install printer in Ubuntu Linux, and this is regarding what you have to do is you have to install the driver and you have to set some settings in the driver. Okay, that is. Any more questions? Andrew sir.
Yeah, Gavaskar, thank you very much. Wonderful presentation, and you clarified all the queries from the participants. I think you didn't sleep yesterday. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, for this preparation,
I think
throughout the night you were preparing for this presentation and
but actually
experiencing. Yeah.
that two exercise, it is very simple. No, it is within half an hour you can complete. But the options which is present in virtual box, no, I had to explain that. So I think of explaining that. So it take more time. That's all.
Okay. Thank you, Gavaskar. So you'll be joining with us on Saturday for the final session. I thank very much for your presentation and the doubt clarification. Now I over to Varun for the feedback session. Varun.
Yes, sir. So participants, the feedback link has been shared in the chat window. So you can fill the feedback link.
Varun, any other instruction we have to give, then you can.
No, sir. Regarding the recorded sessions, so today's sessions will be published today evening, and every day it will be happening like that. And the previous sessions you can see in the FTP page, which we already shared with you. So we can share once again.
So, sir, one more question is there.
Oscar, sir, you please continue.
Multiple VM, right? So we can create multiple VM. This question is nothing but whether we can create multiple VM in a physical machine. Yes, it is possible. But again, I am repeating this again. So again, capacity planning plays a role here. Okay, you can create n number of virtual machines, no problem. You can create 10 or 20, but you have to check the physical host capacity, that is RAM capacity and the storage capacity. By checking that, you can create. If you want to create, if you want to create 3 virtual machines and each of 1 GB configuration RAM, if your physical host contain only 3 GB RAM, it's not possible. We cannot create three guest OS. Okay, we can create only 2 guest OS, and normally 1 GB RAM should be there for the physical OS. Okay, that's the thing. Capacity planning, again, it is very important. You have to plan when before installing the virtual machine. What you have to do is you have to have a small checkup. And you have to create a virtual machine or guest OS. Okay. So one more question, I think. The resource of physical host machine can be used by VM only when it is running. Yes, that is the thing. Okay. When your virtual machine is shut down, okay, when your power of the virtual machine, you cannot use the physical resource. Physical resource, we cannot use that. The resource sharing of the physical resource is done only when the particular virtual machine is running. When you are running the particular virtual machine, only the resources which is present in the physical OS or the host OS is shared to the particular virtual machine. That is the thing. Okay. Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, over to Varun, sir.
So participants, you can find the recorded sessions link, also the registration link for the FTP and cyber security. So you can use that. And all the recorded sessions has been uploaded in the YouTube link, so you can directly copy the link of the day 1, day 2 available days. So you can directly copy the link by right clicking it over it and select the copy link address, so that you will be getting the link YouTube link for the recorded session.
Okay, Varun, shall we wind up for today?
Okay, sir.
Sir, you can leave, sir, but some may be coming.
Okay, to fill the feedback.
Yeah.
Thank you. Gavaskar.
Okay.
Sir.
Yeah, Anthony sir, Anthony sir.
Anthony sir, tell me, sir. Anthony sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. Nice presentation.
Yeah, sir. You helped me a lot during the night. Like 3 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, once again, I thank Gavaskar. Also, I thank Varun for hosting and for the feedback session and organizing this. Also, I thank Anthony Jones Kumar because he was with Gavaskar throughout the night for preparing for today's session. So I thank Anthony sir for the organizing and all the support. Also, I thank Gavaskar because he done it well for the FDP. Once again, I thank all the participants for being with us throughout the session. So again, tomorrow we will be meeting again at 10:50 a.m. And the last session will be on Saturday also. Once again, thank all the participants and the organizing team members and today's resource person, Gavaskar. Thank you, Anita.
Thank you, Andrew sir. So participants, till now we have received only 85 feedbacks. So those who are not entered the feedback, please make it fast.
Participants who entered the feedback, you can leave the chat room. Varun sir, we can stop the recording, Varun.
Okay.